I was a Google engineer for 8.5 years and a whistleblower against Google in 2019, risking my career and livelihood to warn the public about Google's plans to meddle in the 2020 election using a program called machine learning fairness.
Grant, we had a unanimous vote. Every Republican and every Democrat authorized me as the chair to issue these subpoenas.
If you've used Google Earth or YouTube for game consoles, you're familiar with my work. Let's talk about Google's censorship AI system called machine learning fairness. I discovered this program while searching for information about Project Dragonfly, probably a fake project meant to misdirect the public. Make no mistake, machine learning fairness is and has always been the real censorship program, and it is massive. The goal was to, quote, program the public to align with Google's corporate values. Those are their words.
But it's wrong for anyone to have this kind of power to manipulate American elections. And he's right. And in Texas, we're not going to stand for it. We're going to shine a light on what they're doing so that everybody can see.
Step 1, training data are collected and classified. Step 2, algorithms are programmed. Step 3, media are filtered, ranked, aggregated, or generated. And step 4, people like us are programmed. That's a direct quote from their slides. And it wasn't just in one slide, it was littered throughout the company. This process was repeated in a cycle, with step 4 feeding back into step 1. This sounds like something out of a conspiracy theory, but it's real. Google rewrote their news algorithms, specifically trained on mainstream media stories targeting Trump, such as his fight with Comey. Systems like real-time events, real-time boost, and HiveMind assign higher amplification scores to stories related to targeting Trump. Google's internal documents revealed their stance on, quote, algorithmic unfairness. They stated that even factually accurate representations could be considered algorithmically unfair and removed. And let me just quote them. For example, imagine a Google image query for CEOs shows predominantly men. Even if it were a factually accurate representation of the world, it would be algorithmic unfairness. In some cases, it may be appropriate to take no action if the system accurately reflects current reality, while in other cases, it may be desirable to consider how we might help society reach a more fair and equitable state via either product intervention or broader corporate social responsibility efforts, end quote. Let's talk about news ranking. News sites that supported Democrats were ranked with the highest quality and trustworthiness. Here's a partial list. Wall Street Journal, 8.53. CBS News, 6.57. CNN, 6.0. Fox News, 5.2. Russia Today, 4.57. The Young Turks, 2.53. Alex Jones Network, negative 1.56. At the bottom of the list is Next News Network at negative 3.35. Let me reiterate, the foreign propaganda outlet Russia Today was scored 7 points higher than the Next News Network, one of the top YouTube news networks in America. Since my disclosure, Next News Network has been permanently demonetized and will soon be bankrupted. These sound more like the actions we'd expect from a Russian propaganda complex. But shockingly, it's the actions of Google. At YouTube, I observed 40 different AIs classifying videos under various labels. Influencers like Dave Rubin were labeled as right-wing news outlets with fake news labels. The justification was always user safety. But in 2020, this system of censorship went so far as to ban mentions of vitamin C, turmeric, and vitamin D during the pandemic.
Anything that is medically unsubstantiated, so people saying like, take vitamin C, take turmeric, like those all will cure you. Those are the examples of things that would be a violation of our policy. Anything that would go against World Health Organization recommendations would be a violation of our policy. And so remove is another really important part of our policy.
So you're not just putting the truth next to the lie. You're taking the lie down. That's a pretty aggressive approach.
Despite public statements to Congress, Google has many blacklists. some literally named blacklist.txt. For example, the 8th Amendment of the Constitution of Ireland, shockingly, was blacklisted from YouTube. Public needs to know what's going on.
What recommendations would you have for this legislature to take action to address the issues you address?
My recommendation is subpoenas would be filed against Google for any documents that have the name blacklist.txt related to Google, YouTube, and their news search corpuses. I would also ask that you subpoena their documents related to rankings of media outlets. Machine learning fairness is so huge, I don't even know how you would even swallow that. That is going to be such a huge bombshell that it just needs to get into the public disclosure. So it's those three things: machine learning fairness, blacklists, and their media rankings.
Thank you. And specifically for you, what was the impact of your disclosure?
One of the major stories of 2019, the biggest disclosure by Project Veritas, their biggest story they've ever had. We had two disclosures, one in June when I was anonymous. In August, I came out publicly after being raided by the FBI, including the bomb squad, Sheriff's Department, and SFPD, with a standoff that ended at gunpoint. So, and it was all due to a wellness check, and I just didn't want to come out, and so it just kept on escalating, and they shut down the streets from 20th of Valencia to 22nd, and I realized that if I don't come out, they're going to come in. So I came out at gunpoint, surrendered myself, literally Pizzagate. Right? And if you look at Google Trends, you'll see that fake news trended one day after the Pizzagate released the files. With the Las Vegas massacre, that allowed them to inject their YouTube blacklist, which didn't exist prior to this event. And from there, it was like basically covering up, rumors that this was a false flag event. And then it went all the way down to, as I noted, the 8th Amendment to the Constitution of Ireland. Right? And the last term that I saw when I disclosed this list was AMLO. Now, what does AMLO mean? That is the nickname of the Mexican president at the time. So, they started off possibly with noble goals, but at the end, they were censoring constitutional amendments for our allies and presidential candidates in other countries.
Well, how important is it that these subpoenas have been approved to go out? And do you know yet what specifically you'll be asking for?
Texas Senate committees have subpoena power. We rarely use it. It's a big deal. We used it a couple of years ago against BlackRock, State Street, those firms through ESG that are taking Texas money and using it against us. We used it then, and we're using it now. It takes a 2/3 vote in the committee to do this because it's a big deal. Grant, we had a unanimous vote. Every Republican and every Democrat authorized me as the chair to issue these subpoenas to get this information because this affects everyone. You had Professor Epstein. It was a great clip you played. He also told us in the hearing, I'm not a Republican. I lean left. But it's wrong for anyone to have this kind of power to manipulate American elections. And he's right. And in Texas, we're not going to stand for it. We're going to shine a light